So my ATV has a flat tire, as you can see from the severe lean in it right now. So I'm going to show you how I take that off and put an inner tube in it to fix it. It got punctured from a stick, and I tried plugging it, and it definitely slowed it down. And when I have it off, I'll show you the plug that doesn't quite hold. Okay, so with the rear end jacked up here, I'm going to zip this wheel off. And it pops right off. I was a little worried about that. Probably been about 30 years since this thing's probably never came off. So here's the plug that I put in. And this rubber is pretty soft. This isn't like plugging a car tire. I mean, that went right through, no problem. And it wasn't holding on tight. I actually put 2 plugs in, and it just still has a slow leak, and it's just too much of a pain to constantly fill up every time I want to take it for a ride. So I'm going to take this off and put an inner tube in it. Okay, so in order to remove the tire from the rim, we're going to have to break the bead. Put the rim right over that little triangle there. Okay. And you may have to play with these angles a little bit. I find with these ATV tires, because they're smaller diameter and they're pretty thick, is to come up into the highest spot here and all the way out here. That seems to get you the best leverage. I also, typically you want to completely empty the tire when you do this. That works for a car tire, but these are pretty soft and you need a little bit of backing support when you come down. So I have a little bit of air in the tire, not too much, and then just kind of work it down till that bead breaks. These ATV tires could be tough. And you can see why it helps to have a little air in there. Otherwise, this would all be collapsing and it just slides off. Trust me, I know. And I'm bending this bar pretty good. This is the first time I ever bent this bar. There we go. Okay, now we got to do that to both sides. Let's hope the other side comes off a little bit easier, because now there's no air in there to hold it back. Woo! See what I mean? It wants to crawl right down that rubber. So I put a ratchet strap around the circumference. It's usually a pretty good way to reset the bead, but let's see if it'll hold the sidewall up a little bit. Got it. Okay, so that's the trick with these. Get a ratchet strap on it, and that'll break the bead on both sides. Man, I really mangled this thing. Oh man, is that filthy inside. Okay, so we're going to slip this over, and this pin I'm going to put through one of the lug bolts. Center it on there. Drop that guy in. Then tighten that up. Now, there was a lot of moisture in here, but normally I'd put some soap on here, but let's see if I could do it without. That's it. So you want to get under the rubber there. Put it in there and walk it off. Okay, and that side's off. But this is so filthy. I want to get this off completely so I can really clean it. Get between, same way, get between the rubber and the rim, and then work it off. And look at how filthy that is. So I'm going to clean that rim up a little with a wire wheel. You know, there is a lot of sludge in here. Man, this picked up some mud. Okay, let me do a little cleanup work, and I'll be back for the inner tube install. Okay, I got the rim somewhat cleaned up. Man, I don't know how that much water got inside of this wheel, but it was all rusted up, so I just knocked off the rust. Anyway, let's get to this. So we're gonna put an inner tube in, so we don't need this valve stem anymore. So get yourself something to rip it off with. Either a pair of side cutters, or I have here a blade. Just gonna cut the back of it. It's garbage. And then poke the other end through, which just fell out. So you see, don't need that anymore. So let's get this set up again. Lock it in place. Okay, now any kind of protective coating that was on here is gone now, so I'm going to throw some surface shield on there, which is basically, what the hell's the name of that brand? It'll come to me. It's a lanolin based rust protector. Fluid film. Fluid film is the known one. This is made by PB Blast, so they call it Surface Shield. I think WD-40 makes a product as well. That's good. That Surface Shield will act as my lubricant too. Now, these are directional. ATV tires are directional, and there's an arrow going that way, so we know that it goes that way, not this way. If I look here, you see, I find the arrow going that way. That would be in reverse. So that is the top. So we're just going to push this first one on. Oh, here was my failed plug. Where is it? Here it is. I put a double plug in, and I don't know if you can see it on the inside there. Here it is. So work that on, rotate, and that falls into place. Now, let's get our inner tube, and not that it matters because you have to look up yours, but this is a 25 by 10, 12, and we'll match the markings on here. 25, 10, 12, tubeless. We're going to turn it into a tube. So, remember, lugs up, valve stem up, or the valve hole up, and the blue line goes down. We know that because then our valve stem's on the top. So let's unscrew the cap, and this is a threaded stem. So we want to take these threads off, these nuts off. It's a double nut. I've seen some people put the one nut inside the rim, but I think the correct way is to take them both off. Okay, so take both those nuts off the stem, and there's a washer too. I'm going to take the washer off. All this is going to be on the outside of the rim. I think that's the way it's supposed to go. Actually, see, it's cone shaped and it was on that way, so maybe the cone does come in from the bottom, so maybe I will leave that one on. If anybody knows which order this should have went, leave me a comment. I guess that's to protect the rubber pressing up against the rim, so I think I'll leave it in. All right, so I don't want to drop it inside, so I'll take it off for now. So, get it around there, line your stem up somewhat, lift your whole tire up, shove it on in. Shove it on in and get it around around the rim. An extra hand would be helpful, because this is a pretty tight fit. But you need to just work it around and try not to fold it over. Okay. Now everything's inside the rim. Let's find my stem. And I'll get that washer, that cone-shaped washer with the curve facing up. I'm going to slip it over the stem. And I'm going to feed the stem through the hole. Okay, so once you get it up into the hole, kind of hold it with your fingers, grab one of your nuts and screw the nut back on so it doesn't fall back in. I feel like there should be a washer on this side too. I'm gonna see if I can find a washer to put on this side. I'll be back. Okay, so I found a stainless steel washer. Yeah, I think that washer that comes with the inner tube goes underneath, because it kind of forms into the hole now. And I think it'll hold the stem straight. So I'm gonna take my stainless steel washer and put it over the valve. And I'm gonna start the first nut. Okay, the other one will go on top to lock it in. Let me show you how that looks. Okay, so you see, pulled it through, put a stainless steel washer on, the inner tube's tucked into the rim. That fluid film, or surface shield, whatever you want to call it, is pretty slippery, which is good. So I'm gonna use that as my lubricant rather than mixing up some soap. That won't hurt the rubber. If anything, it'll protect it. Make sure your inner tube isn't pinching down there, and that it's just within the tire. I think I know why it was so hard to break that bead. There was so much rust in there. I think all the rust just kind of just holding everything on. Okay. So if this was a car tire, this would go on really easy. You'd get right under that lip, you would just spin around, and the whole thing would seat. I could see it's not going to work with this. Ooh, this is tight. Get your body into it. Once you get some going, use your knee, use whatever you can to hold it in place. My God, I will get this tire on one way or another. There we go. I don't know how that happened. Couldn't get it with the tool, but I got it with that. All right, so now I gotta look and make sure that I didn't pinch the inner tube anywhere. So I'm gonna look from underneath. Okay, looks good. I'll put the other one on to lock it in. Okay, I got that double nut locked in really good. Let's get some air now. Start filling up the inner tube. And as the inner tube fills up, the bead should pop again. Probably have to overinflate it to get the bead to seal again. Or to seat. There we go. Let's see if the other side's seated. Not yet. Keep going. Now we'll have to take some out. Okay, so let's get this back on. I mean, for the amount of rust that was inside of these things, these look awfully good. The machine's always been kept indoors, but it does go through the stream a lot. It's been in the snow, but somehow this took on water and really rusted the inside of that rim. I tell you, after seeing the condition inside this rim, I think I'm gonna, even though the others aren't leaking, I think I want to see the condition of what's going on in there. So I think I'm gonna pull those other ones off, at least the rear. That was weird. That was very weird. So I have no idea the torque settings of these things. That on. And see if she's holding air for a while. I want to check the condition of the other tires. This machine's old. It is a 1989 model Big Bear, maybe a 1990, somewhere back then. But it's been well maintained. It's been in the garage. Like I said, it goes through streams. It's been in the snow, so I could understand it picking up, you know, getting some rust every once in a while. But that was weird inside there. But anyway, there you have it. You can put a tube inside a tubeless tire because the treads are still good. That puncture is irrelevant now. And we'll see how it holds air. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. This is one tight bead.